Hey guys, what's up? Today I'm bringing you another deck profile on one of my favorite decks and one of the decks I've been enjoying playing a lot recently. The faded one of ever-changing Krysrain Cadenza. She's just a beautiful work of art right here. And let's get into the deck profile, shall we? So as usual, starting off, we have the ride line with the energy generator. We have our grade 0 being Wonder Lavender Ursel. Basic, when you go second, draw a card. We have our grade 1 Lively Navy Tiffine. A lot of people run different ride lines for the grade 1 and 2 for this. I like using the standard. Her skill, when rolled upon by Confident Aqua Musette, reveal the top card of your deck, call it to rear guard. If it's a grade 2 or less normal unit, put it into hand if not. So it's consistent search power, draw power if needed. I have Confident Aqua Musette for the grade 2. When rolled upon by a grade 3 card with Krysrain in this card name, look at the top card of your deck, call it to rear guard if it's a grade 3 or less normal unit, add it to hand if not, so search power. And then the grade 3 being faded one of ever-changing Krysrain Cadenza, as well as the one in the ride line. I am running 3 additional copies of Krysrain Cadenza. And the only other grade 3 I run in the deck is Vivid Flash Whimsmay, which I know a lot of people don't run her. I personally like using her when I can. For the grade 2s, we have the new grade 2 from Parallactic Clash, Mythos of Ever-Changing Utinus, and we are running her at 4 copies. A lot of people say that she's underwhelmed as far as Mythos go, but I really love her, not just the artwork, you know, and she's a searcher for Krysrain. Our other grade 2s include 1 copy of Octavia, the Ace unit. I run 2 copies of Innocent Orange Annis. You know, she's just search power, counter blast, and energy blast 3 to look at the top 5 cards of the deck, adding a unit with a different card name, then my Vanguard and Rear Guard, and calling it. I run 3 copies of Energetic Yellow of Pinel. You know, she's 15k when she's called, because she gains 5k power if I have Krysrain, and then with a Soul Blast, she lets me look at the top card of my deck and call it or discard it. And when she's placed on Guardian Circle, if I have a grade 3 or greater Vanguard with Krysrain, she gains 5,000 shields, so she becomes a 10k shield. I run 2 copies of Loving Pink Francette. Basically, when her power is increased by the auto ability of Krysrain, she gives Krysrain 10,000 power, so she's a power up for Krysrain. I run 2 copies of Emphatic Rhyme or Mill. Basically, for a Soul Blast, she gains 5,000 power, and then she gives 5,000 power to another unit, and then with a Counter Blast, I get to draw a card, and she gives herself 5,000 power. And then the orders I run Protection Twin Cast, more of a defensive option for attacks against the Vanguard. And I run 1 copy of High Five. A lot of people run this card at 4. It's just really expensive, so I personally find 1 copy's fine. And it can be played from the drop without the cost if you have a Vanguard with Divine Skill, which Krysrain does. Alright, moving on to the grade 1s. I run 3 copies of Moderate Mint Rochelle. Now this card can be played at 4. Personally, with the play testing, I find it better for 3. And basically, she is just soul fodder, because at the cost of energy blasting 3 and putting her into the soul after Krysrain attacks, she lets you restand a unit that was chosen by Krysrain's ability if I did not have a unit stand this turn. So I run her at 3. I run 1 copy of A Ballad of My Own Someday Sister. I basically run her for draw fodder or an 18k attacker or booster with her other skill. I run 2 copies of Cynical composed of our own. Her guard restrict is really key, I think, for the deck. And when she boosts Krysrain, she gains 5,000 power, so she's a 13k booster. And when she boosts Krysrain and Krysrain attacks at the cost of energy blasting 3, if your opponent wants to guard Krysrain's attack without using a Sentinel, they have to call 3 or more cards with different grades. So it's grade restriction guard. I run 2 copies of Snowflake of the Deep Sea. She's in there again as Soul Father because when she's returned to the hand, you choose a card with a different name from your hand and put it into the soul. I run 2 copies of Dream Levied. When she's discarded for the cost of your ride during your ride phase, put her into the soul. So again, more Soul Father. And then I run the 4 different perfect guards, just, you know, again, to have different units with different names. And then for my trigger lineup, I run 3 front triggers, which I might change these out and mix with the soul fronts. I run 4 heals, all different names as well, just because of the lineup with Krysrain. So I run 8 crit, 4 fluffy ladies, and then 4 just random crits to keep that name. And my over trigger, I run Spiritual King of Aquatics, just for the allowing you to choose a card from drop and put it into the hand and give an extra critical to one of my units. I think that's really helpful with the presser you want to do with Krysrain and all the extra power you can get. So yeah, that is my deck profile, everyone. For the faded one of Krysrain, for the faded one of ever-changing Krysrain. Sorry about that. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Thanks.